Around about 3 months ago, I dragged my 48-year-old body into Dr. Kelly's surgery. I had fierce bad pains in my feet. The knees, hips and back were suffering too, but the pains in my feet were getting unbearable. I told him about my ailments and how I was finding it hard to cope with even a simple task like going to the shed for a lock of turf. We had a good old chat about different things, the farming, weather of course, characters around the area and how time had taken some of them away, a couple of my neighbours included. He asked did I miss those that passed away in my townland. I told him how it can be lonesome sometimes passing by the empty houses, knowing how nice it was to call in and have a chat and a laugh with the old people. They would love to talk about how life used to be in their day, I said. He asked more questions and would write down me answers. Do you get out for a drink at all these days, he asked. No, too afraid of being bagged and losing my licence, I told him. Are you an early riser, he asked. I told him the truth, as either some days I wouldn't give a shite if I never got out of bed. Do you know, says he, pains in the joints and tiredness can sometimes be symptoms of depression. Are you happy in yourself, he asked. By Jesus, that was the queer awkward one. It took me a while to gather myself and answer him. Well, doctor, I've often thought I should be happier, an answer finally came out of me. I'm going to give you a prescription for 6 weeks' supply of antidepressants. You'll see how you are after that. If you feel the same, come in to me and I will give you a stronger dosage. On the way to the chemist, I started to think all kinds of daft thoughts. I wondered what the women in the chemist would be saying. Your man is mental. He's not well in the head. The lunatic should have been on tablets long ago. Sure, that fella's a danger. The likes of him should be put in an asylum. He never was right. All these thoughts started to ground in me head, and by the time I got as far as the chemist counter, a monk after a dozen condoms wouldn't feel as nervous and shameful as myself. Can I help you there, love? A kind-sounding voice drew me out from the dark thoughts, and I handed her the prescription. I'll have those for you in just a minute. Waiting for her, I told myself to cop on, think straight, and if you're going to freak out, I says to myself, wait till you get home. There you are now, love. She came back with my tablets in a little bag. Sitting down calmly at my kitchen table, I read the warnings on the leaflet that came with the tablets. May cause dizziness, high blood pressure, increased cholesterol, may cause a cessation of restlessness or an inability to sit or stand still. You may develop suicidal thoughts. The warnings began to put me thinking that the cure might be worse than the disease. Not saying the man was wrong to prescribe me those tablets. I'm sure they work wonders for some people's heads. But it's hard to understand how antidepressants help with pain. You see, I found it a bit confusing. Those tablets are meant to treat my head. And the part of my body that gives me the most bother, my feet, couldn't be further away from my head. So instead of treating my head, I thought maybe it might be a good idea to treat my feet. The next day I headed for Carrick and into that Trailblazer shop. They do often have ads on Shannonside claiming to have great footwear. I asked your man would he have any comfortable size 10 waterproof boots. Try these, he handed me a pair of black leather boots. I took me old boots off, and as soon as I put the new pair on, me feet began to feel as comfortable as calves lying down on a freshly changed bed of straw. I was delighted with myself and hoped the boots might just be the cure for me aching feet. The side effect of the cure, an empty pocket, left me a bit dazed. The boots cost €110. But says I to myself, if the work and the only side effect is an empty pocket, I'll manage somehow. So I paid him the money. He gave me a fiver luckpenny, and off for home I drove. It wasn't too bad of an evening, so begod says to me dog, "Come on, Feshty, we're going for a walk." We didn't get too far from the house until I got tired in myself and the feet began to ache. But the next day we went a little further, and after a couple of weeks 'twas no bother for me to walk 4 or 5 miles. Feshty gets all giddy and excited now when I put on the boots. He loves being out and about, and he just is getting spoiled by the people we meet. Isn't he lovely? He's the cutest little terrier I've ever seen. He never stops wagging his little tail. Ah, he's so friendly. They all stop to pet him or give him a treat. I'm fond of him myself, and part of the pleasure of going for the walks does be watching him enjoying all the attention. The poor fella spent long enough lying about the house and me not able to bring him anywhere. His friendliness towards everyone has led me to meet some nice people. Seldom I go for a walk now without having a chat with somebody on the way. A lady one day asked, would I like to join a walking club? She says they had a walk planned for Slieve and Eardon. Come along next Sunday, says she. We will meet at Jackie Lee's shop at 8. Well, off we went this morning, down to Jackie Lee's, myself and Festy, the 2 new recruits. There was nearly a dozen people there, and who should be amongst them? Only the man I went to see 3 months ago, Dr. Kelly. The same fella is no way snobby. Now, he spotting me, he came over, and begod told me I was looking good, and patted Festy on the head. The lady that invited me to join introduced myself and Festy to the group, and off we took for the mountain. 'Twas a lovely morning. The views were great. After a couple of hours of fairly tough walking, I reached the highest point, not only of the mountain, but what had been my life for the last couple of years. As I stood there with a smile on my face, the doctor came over and said, "Fair play. It's great to see you doing so well. Sometimes all a person needs is a little kickstart to get on the road to recovery. And I'm glad those tablets have done just that for you." Not wanting to bring up the whole head-feet thing of a sunny Sunday morning and us on top of a beautiful mountain, I just stood there enjoying the views, content that the calves were lying in cosy straw, smiled over at Festy chewing some kind of a snack bar that one of the walkers gave him, and said, "Thanks, doctor, you're dead right," and I left it at that.